Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, is a city full of colour and character. This European city stands out with its unique architecture, wide sidewalks, characteristic hills and trams, and statues that mark grand squares with fountains in full bloom. India-Portugal ties of kinship date back over 500 years, when Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama led a voyage from Portugal's shores to Calicut on the coast of Kerala, breaking the Venetian trade monopoly through land and expanding the frontiers of Portuguese trade via sea. In recent times, political ties between India and Portugal have got a fillip through frequent high-level visits and several agreements cutting across sectors. Defence is a promising sphere of bilateral cooperation and a relatively new one too, with the first defence MOU signed only in 2017.
Unmanned air systems on the naval sector and also in the aeronautic and space as well. We have progressed quite well. At this stage, there are effective engagement between Indian companies and Portuguese companies that I believe that in near term will have effective results, either on transferring technology to India and also introducing some factory over there and training centers for this kind of domains, industrial domains and technological domains.
Marine science and oceanography is another area where cooperation is set to grow.
Our cooperation link started about 20 years ago with the National Institute of Oceanography in the area of marine robotics to develop autonomous robots for ocean exploration. And together we developed what I think was the first civilian prototype of such a system. And ever since we have been cooperating on the development of other kinds of robots for scientific applications.
Portugal has become a springboard for Indian companies to set base and expand to the rest of Europe.
Portugal was very important for us to launch other countries because of the geographic region that we are at the moment. Also, we have really good relationships with most of the countries around Europe, South America, even Africa. So it helped us in that relationship, in that bit, it helped us a lot.
Post-Brexit, Portugal aims to give a foothold to companies based in UK and looking to expand further into Europe.
Portuguese Prime Minister has actually recently declared again when he visited India that he would like to receive companies who are based in the UK to keep their base in the UK but to have a foot in the EU in Portugal.
With Portuguese platforms hand-holding Indian businesses, there are opportunities waiting for Indian startups and entrepreneurs.
We give them complete assistance, we do hand-holding for them. From India, we bring them here, we assist them in setting up the business.
Diversity and plurality is a shared value in India and Portugal. Abdul Wakil, only the second Muslim to come to Portugal in 1956, is a well-respected person of Indian origin in Portugal who was conferred with the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman by India, and the Portuguese government has worked with him to organize interreligious dialogues in Portugal.
I do a lot of interreligious dialogue in the mosque. When the President Marcelo was there, we had 17 or 18 religions lined up, each one reading a sentence of their religion.
Political ties, development cooperation, commercial collaboration, people-to-people ties, and shared values of democracy and plurality together form a strong foundation of the India-Portugal partnership. The beats of Indian classical music in a European city. A Kathak performance by a troupe of Portuguese dancers. The dance form has travelled afar from Indian shores and acts as a cultural bridge between Indian and Portuguese communities.
I actually became curious about Indian dance in general. It started with Bollywood, which is the most accessible means of seeing Indian dance. But then I noticed several performances by Kathak artists, and I started searching for Kathak lessons here in Portugal. And I was lucky enough to be living here in Lisbon and having our teacher, which was giving classes here.
Bharatnatyam too has a following in Portugal. Tarika Valli, a Portuguese, is a Bharatnatyam teacher in Lisbon. Having learnt the dance form from an Indian guru in Paris, she has been teaching it for the last 30 years now.
Bharatanatyam is having such a beauty, first of all, naturally, but more than that, it is a spiritual way of the expression which is going inside the style. I loved, and also the lines, the geometry, the footwork.
The embrace of Bharatnatyam and Kathak dances in far-off Portugal manifest Indian culture's global character. Art and culture have always been a binding force between countries. They form the glue that connects the people of India and Portugal as well. Portuguese nationals are learning Indian traditional dance forms and folk dances. Some have embraced Bollywood too. These dance forms are part of a vibrant cultural bouquet that has the imprint of India on it in Portugal. Not just dance, but music too forms a lasting bond between India and Portugal. Portuguese flutist Rao plays the Indian bansuri. A musician who is keeping the musical bond between India and Portugal alive and thriving through his frequent visits to India to perform, Rao is a Portuguese national but an Indian by heart.
Influence of India became very strong to me because of the tradition that is there in the flute playing, in bamboo flute, which is bansuri. And I was studying with Raghunath Sheth, a great master of flute. It was in me from the beginning, and it kind of grew. And I became very much attached to Indian music.
As the world commemorates 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, Rau's flute has become a medium for Portugal to pay tribute to the Mahatma. The Radha Krishna temple in Lisbon is a place of worship, not only for the Hindu community from India and Portugal, but also people belonging to different religions and nationalities. Nearly 7,000 devotees visit the temple every year, including from schools, colleges, universities, and government entities.
विशेष जो हमारे भारतीय हैं, जो मुख्यतः हैं भारत से, लेकिन उनके माता पिता इत्यादि सभी साउथ अफ्रीका के मोज़ाम्बिक में निवास करते थे। वहाँ पोर्चुगीज़ सोसाइटी थी। वहाँ से फिर वो सभी यहाँ पोर्चुगल में आए। पुर्तगाल में आने के बाद में उन लोगों को अपना सनातन जो है, यहाँ पे कोई बड़ा मंदिर नहीं था, छोटा भी मंदिर नहीं था। इन लोगों ने मंदिर बनाया और इतना अच्छा मंदिर बनाया। उसके बाद में सनातन परंपरा को इतना अच्छे से सिंचन करके रखा कि आज यहाँ के लोग जो भी यूरोपियन हैं वो आते हैं और वो आकर के यहीं पे रहना चाहते हैं कि नहीं, हमको यहीं रहना है।
The Radha Krishna Temple in North Lisbon was founded in 1998 and it has since helped in developing a strong Indian-Portuguese relationship. Prime Minister Narendra Modi came here in June 2017. In fact, people from all faiths and nationalities come here to worship and especially to celebrate Hindu festivals. The temple also runs classes and workshops in Indian classical dance forms as well as in Gujarati and Hindi language skills, among others. The temple is a result of many decades of efforts by the Hindu community in Portugal.
In 1987, they gave us a land over here, a piece of land here in the Passo da Lumiar, yeah, and where we made a dream project of doing this socio-cultural complex. In 1989, when the first foundation, the stone for the complex was laid in the presence of the mayor of Lisbon, we did the inauguration of this Radha Krishna temple in 1998, on 4th of November 1998, in the presence of the President Dr. George Sampaio.
The temple aims to keep the values of Sanatan Dharma alive and awaken people to Hindu traditions while working as a microcosm of Indian culture. Such temples are a celebration of the deep religious and spiritual bond that Indians and Portuguese share.
Hum Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhin Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhana Mrityarmukshiyamamritat.
Spirituality touches lives of people in different ways. Jose Bernardo is a Portuguese learning Hindi at the Center of Indian Studies in the University of Lisbon, the first of its kind in Portugal.
वह कंप्यूटर है.
For him, learning Hindi has become a means to connect with Indian culture.
I started getting into Indian spirituality like 2 years ago. I started reading about Adi Shankaracharya and some of the Swamis that got to America in the last century, like Swami Vivekananda. And I was so in love with the culture and in love with the Sanatana Dharma that I felt like I needed more. I need more substance. And learning Hindi, for me, it's a way to connect not only with the culture.
Joana Simões is learning Hindi at the same center. A Portuguese national, she explains why she took to learning Hindi.
मैं कथक डांसर हूँ और बहुत किताबें और गाने हिंदी में हैं. That's why in order to become a more proficient Kathak dancer, I decided that I needed a bit of theoretical background. So I decided to learn Hindi for that.
वे दोनों कौन हैं? वे दोनों लड़के भी हो सकते हैं, वे दोनों लड़कियां भी हो सकती हैं.
Their teacher is an Indian who came to Portugal in 2007 on a scholarship by the Portuguese government to learn Portuguese, and went on to become a Hindi teacher at the center, where over 200 Portuguese have registered to learn Hindi. He spells out efforts undertaken to popularize Hindi in Portugal.
मैं और रमेश भारती हैं.
जोर से एक बार फिर.
मैं और रमेश भारती हैं.
इन देशों में आपको जो है कि बहुत से लोग हैं जिनकी अंग्रेज़ी इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, तो अब मान लीजिए हिंदी सीखने के लिए उनको पहले अपनी अंग्रेज़ी अच्छी करनी पड़ेगी, फिर वो आके उन संसाधनों के ज़रिए फिर हिंदी सीख सकते हैं। इसलिए एक बहुत बड़ी ज़रूरत है कि संसाधन जो भी हैं पुर्तगाली में तैयार किए जाएं। और पिछले साल हमने जो है कि भारत सरकार और भारतीय दूतावास के सहयोग से पहले ही पुर्तगाली हिंदी पुर्तगाली शब्दकोश का जो है हमने यहाँ पे निर्माण किया, प्रकाशन किया है।
Hindi is an assertion of India's soft power the world over. The growing takers of Hindi in Portugal show the love and respect that India's national language garners overseas. Hindi has become a bridge that transcends geographical barriers and brings the people of India and Portugal closer culturally as well as spiritually. Borders divide nations, but food brings them closer. We are in Portugal's capital city, Lisbon. There are several European restaurants in this European city that serve European food, but one can savor the Indian cuisine in restaurants like these that are run by Indians or people of Indian descent. They make people like me who are Indians feel at home away from home.
Portuguese people love Indian food because of, I think, Portuguese colonies in India. They brought many Goan dishes to Portugal, and there are a lot of mixture of Punjabi and Goan food, and which actually we are serving in our restaurant.
Portuguese of Indian descent and those who migrated from India to Portugal via former Portuguese colonies have adopted Indian food. With migration, people intermingled and so did food habits.
Pau bhaji, pau came from Portuguese, so which is now Indian street food. And then there is a bebinca, which is a Goan cake, but it is actually version of conventory cakes of Portugal.
Customers from across the world come to such Indian restaurants to savor Indian cuisine.
I'm English, and most English people have an absolute passion for Indian food. We've also invented some of the most popular Indian dishes around the world.
If one restaurant primarily offers North Indian cuisine, at another Indian restaurant, customers savor South Indian food. The authentic taste of South Indian food in the heart of Lisbon has meant that the Portuguese frequent this restaurant.
We like very much Indian food because our grandfather, he was from Goa, and we ate Indian food since we were born. So we like it very much.
The restaurant owners explain the Portuguese influence on Indian cuisine.
We are doing just sharing food, and at the same time we are sharing our little bit of history about Kerala and Kerala-Portugal relationship, and at the same time how the food came, because we have more similarities between, for example, appam, it's from Portugal. So now we are using, in Kerala we are using appam. So that kind of stories we are sharing.
Among the Portuguese of Indian descent savoring the Indian delicacies here, it is hard to miss their love for India and all things Indian.
Kerala is very good, Goa is very good, Punjab is very good, Kashmir is very good, all India is very good.
Another restaurant in Lisbon has a distinctly Bollywood decor, giving customers the taste of India. Customers savor the Indian cuisine cooked by Indian chefs.
ज़्यादातर साउथ इंडियन है, थोड़ा सा टच नॉर्थ इंडियन है.
And here too, the response of the Portuguese to the food served is overwhelming.
generally speaking, Portuguese have not been exposed a lot to Indian food. So it's funny because most of the clients we get here, we see that when they come here, they really want us to. It's an experience, obviously, but they're coming to try something new. So for me, I have a feeling that most of the time they want us to explain what's the food. When they come here, they come to try something new, so for the first time. But well, the feedback is that they really love the food.
A saying goes, there is no love sincerer than the love of food. And Indian food in Lisbon truly binds India and Portugal. One cannot imagine Portugal without Goa and Goa without Portugal. The historical trade and immigration links have influenced Portugal in several ways. This monastery in Lisbon is one of the most enduring manifestations of Portugal's Goa connection.
This place is called the Monastery of Jeronimus because this was built in the construction started at the beginning of the 16th century. It took more than 100 years to build. It celebrates the discovery of the sea route from Portugal to India, and that was an enormous landmark at the time. It allowed the Portuguese to break the monopoly of the trade of the spice trade. It was controlled by the Venetians by land.
Portuguese of Goan descent reminisce the invaluable contributions by Goans to Portugal.
The most famous maternity hospital in Lisbon has got the name of Alfredo da Costa, a very famous Goan doctor. Having children born in a maternity was something new at the time when most children were born at home. So these were extraordinary contributions for the health and security, safety of mothers and of families in general.
Goans have settled down in Portugal over the centuries. They've done extremely well across fields. But the biggest success story is that of Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa. He has Indian roots, he is of Goan descent, and his father grew up there until he was 17. But he's just one of the many who have made immense contribution to Portuguese society and economy. Indians of Goan descent in Lisbon value the familiar links with Goa.
I was born in Mozambique, in Beira, in the city of Beira. My parents they are from Goa. They are born in Goa, and my grandparents too. They moved to Mozambique, so that's why I born there. I have some studies there. Then we moved to Portugal, and I'm now working and doing my life in Portugal.
Besides architecture, Goan dance, music and food keeps Goan traditions and culture alive in Portugal. This restaurant in Lisbon offers Goan food. The designs on its walls of Goan beaches and churches makes one feel in Goa.
We have chutneys, mango chutney and coriander chutney. We have here something we have in Goa and we use, it's called shell. Every year when we went to Goa, we have an opportunity to went to some beach in Goa. So we love the sunset in Goa.
Dancers from Goa reinforce the state's connect with Portugal and are well received in Goa.
I think it's very well received. People don't know it's a very uncommon thing to see. Actually, we are the only group dancing it here in Portugal. But I think because of some connections that Goa had and still has with Portugal, people can still relate mostly to the music, and some of the dances, they really enjoy it. They can connect more with the stories also.
Art forms like these are an integral part of intercultural exchanges between India and Portugal.
We try to bring Indian artists to showcase them in Portugal and bring the Portuguese artists to India to try to promote our culture there. So we've been trying to show the most of the art forms we can.
The Goan influence runs deep into Portugal's politics and society. And Portuguese with Goan roots are a living bridge between India and Portugal. It's been 5 years since the 21st of June was declared as the International Day of Yoga by the United Nations General Assembly. Yoga has reached every corner of the globe. Portugal is no exception. Yoga asanas being performed in Lisbon. The Portuguese Yoga Confederation is one of the major institutions working to promote yoga in Portugal and across Europe among people of all age groups. Yoga that originated in India is performed here in its original form.
Everything he does know truly about yoga he learned in India.
Bharati is the motherland of yoga.
The Confederation played a key role in the birth of the idea of an International Day of Yoga.
In 1998, we proposed to the world the creation of the International Day of Yoga, and we built a memoranda with 30 principles, which is the basis, the foundation of the International Day of Yoga. In 2014, thanks to the fabulous work of Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, the United Nations made it official.
The Confederation works on scientific validation of the benefits of yoga.
It's fundamental that people practice yoga because yoga promotes health, which is what medicine aims for. Currently, medicine is looking forward so that people do not get sick in the first place and are more healthy in global. And yoga is amazing in this aspect. There is an initiative of the Portuguese Yoga Confederation which is called Yoga Stress-Free Exams.
Começou nas universidades e as escolas secundárias e médias começaram a pedir.
This began at the universities and then high schoolers also wanted to practice.
Porque os jovens sentem que o yoga lhes dá uma grande ajuda.
Because youth feels that yoga is a great help for their development.
The Confederation alone has taken yoga to 1 lakh people in Portugal and beyond. It sees yoga as the greatest gift of India to humanity.
Yoga is the greatest treasure of humanity. Through yoga, we can expect to evolve.
With yoga's popularity growing from east to west and from north to south, this wellness movement, which is India's traditional glory, is now truly global. A youth football team training in Lisbon. Portugal is the mecca of football, as football is a religion for most here.
The passion for football is unprecedented, I would say. Like from every single little club in the village, every Sunday, every Saturday, football matches everywhere.
Portugal's love for soccer is well known. In 1998, Portugal was ranked 43rd in the FIFA rankings, but the love for the game has meant that it has gone up several notches into the top 10 now. A bust of Cristiano Ronaldo at the island of Madeira stands testimony to the cult status that the beloved captain of Portugal's national football team commands.
Portugal is perhaps known throughout the world through Ronaldo. He is the icon of football in Portugal.
What cricket is to India, football is to Portugal. Passion for football combined with a clinical and professional approach towards the game has made Portugal a football sensation. Portugal's edge in the game and growing interest in football in India is paving the way for greater cooperation in soccer between India and Portugal. Mafalda is a Portuguese who discovered her life's calling after watching Bollywood films on social media.
When I was 13 years old, I decided to search on YouTube Bollywood, and the moment I saw a video of Madhuri Dixit dancing Ajanachale, I knew that it was what I wanted to do in life and pursued dancing.
Admiration for Bollywood presented the Portuguese government with the opportunity of leveraging shooting of foreign films, including Indian films, for economic growth and tourism. Portugal is emerging as a niche film shooting destination for Indian filmmakers. Movies like War, Harry Met Sejal and many South Indian films have been shot here. The Portuguese government has introduced incentives for shooting of foreign films here. And this is emerging as a win-win situation for the Indian film industry and for Portugal. Several Indian movies have been shot in Portugal, and one of them has even benefited from a cash rebate system for foreign films.
2013 is the first ever Indian movie to be filmed in Portugal, called Baluppu. It's a Telugu movie. From then on, we have done about a dozen of movies, 12 movies. The last being War, the biggest spender in Portugal, any movie filmed. We spent about 4 million euros in 11 days.
Shooting of foreign films in Portugal has increased the footfall of tourists in the European country.
We believe Portugal is an excellent destination for shooting, and we have been working together with a lot of Indian producers, financing with a cash rebate system, shooting here in Portugal.
While for the Portuguese government, shooting of foreign films has become a booming avenue for greater investment and tourism inflows, for the Indian filmmakers, it is an opportunity to capture the hearts of Portuguese.